Beer Guys Radio. We're back in the studio.
We are.
Some holiday break time, but we are back. And we are with Printers Ale Manufacturing Company out of Carrollton, Georgia. Greg, Josh, thanks for joining us, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We appreciate it. We're going to drink some spontaneous ales today. We're going to talk beer. And that's it, man. That's
Pretty
the whole,
much it,
that
yeah.
is the plan, is to talk beer. Nate, is that okay? Beer talk and drinking beer. That is the plan for the day.
How about pocket knife talk? Are we going to do any of that?
No, I think we overstayed our pocket knife talk welcome a couple weeks
Last
ago.
time.
So yeah.
So
We had,
no pocket knife talk.
I was on Facebook and just scrolling through there, and I saw a picture of someone opening a bag of grain, and I didn't think anything of it because I see that a lot on Facebook. And then I noticed that the focus of the picture was a Spyderco pocket knife, and I'm like, wait a minute. So it was actually a post on a knife forum I follow rather than beer. And I, the streams collided there, and I had to reach out to the dude. So
Nice.
Had him on the show. It was a good time, man.
I realized I was stepping into dangerous water, even bringing up the subject, because we may start talking about how we're not going to talk about it.
We knife nerd pretty good, and we meant to just kind of use as an intro of how we met each other, and then our whole first segment ended up being talking about pocket knives. So y'all, we promise we won't do that again to you this week.
Never again.
Much more beer talk, this week. And with that said, Nate, let's get going.
Open up a tab, grab a seat, and pour a pint. It's time for the Beer Guys Radio Show.
You want free beer? Go to the brewery.
Dedicated to the art, science, and enjoyment of craft beer.
Yo, what's wrong with the beer we got?
Now, here are your hosts, Tim Dennis and Brian Hewitt.
Welcome to the Beer Guys Radio Show. We are broadcasting from the Beer Guys Radio Studios. And this week, we're talking with Printers Ale Manufacturing Company. I am Tim Dennis, and with me, as always, is my good friend and co-host and Mall Santa, Brian Hewitt.
That's right, Mall Santa. They get paid really well. I really need to look into that.
Okay.
Yeah, like it's not six figures, but it's up there.
They're doing
for
all
like
right.
A couple of months worth of work.
Do you know I stopped at a Chinese restaurant one time, like in November, and the whole side room was Mall Santas? There was like 50 of them in there. I guess they had a convention. I was like, this is kind of insane.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I wonder how many flasks of whiskey were in there.
A lot.
So, hey, Tim, joining us today, we have Greg Smith, founder and owner of Printers Ale Manufacturing Company. We have Josh Watterson, the specialty brewer for Printers Ale. And we're going to talk about barrel-aged and spontaneously fermented beers. And maybe, just maybe, we'll get into a beer or two that went a little viral a while back.
Oh, yes.
Yes. Guys, thanks for joining us.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it.
Got to be careful with going viral these days.
That's right.
Those things, it's tricky stuff.
It means different things now since 2020 going viral.
Exactly. Well, guys, we'll dig into this a little bit more as we get into it. But your Woodcut Wild, that's one thing we're going to talk about. Right now, we are sipping the Peche. Is that right, Josh?
That is correct.
Can you tell us a little bit about this one as we get into things here?
Yeah, the Peche's drinks right now, it's drinking really well. It's my favorite. I think just peach, how it opens up in a lot of these more spontaneous wild ales. It's much softer. The esters are really nice. And it pairs really well for those who are kind of the wine drinkers that want that slight tart appearance and presentation. I think it's really nice. And it's that one that has that little bit of funky, almost cheese-like characteristics that you might not get with more of the berries or the cherry.
Where do you expect this is going to go with time? Like if you age it for another year or two, what kind of development do you think there would be with it?
Well, it's going to get drier. We do a partial bottle conditioning until we are very confident with our full bottle conditioning. I did a partial bottle conditioning when I worked at Bridgeport Brewing in Portland, Oregon, years and years ago. And it was very much a carb it up to about, 1 volume, and then with a little bit of yeast and sugar to ensure that you had some carbonation, but then it would build over time. So that's what we've done with these ones. And what that allows it to do is to continue to carbonate and maturate inside that bottle. So you will get a nice, really big and bright presentation for years to come.
I had forgotten you worked for Bridgeport.
Yeah.
I'm from Portland, Oregon. That was one of the first places I ever really got into beer seriously was Bridgeport.
Yes,
On
R.I.P.
Hawthorne, in
R.I.P.
fact. Yeah.
Yes.
RIP for sure.
I
Yeah.
wonder, are they old enough to be an OG? Are they second gen there?
They were like
Josh?
86.
I would think that's
Yeah.
OG. That's
They
what
were,
I thought.
They
Yeah.
opened, Carl Ockert opened that 84,
84,
85.
86. One that, like
and,
in that class there. Yeah.
Yeah, their IPA was the flagship. I remember when I was there, this was 2008 through 11. We did a lot of the lab work for Sierra Nevada and a lot of these other breweries on the West Coast because we had the best lab, So
Nice.
but yeah, it's owned by Gambrinus, which is a large company that really owns Shinerbach is their big boy. Trumer Pills out of Berkeley is their other one, and then they had Bridgeport. And unfortunately, sales did not do what the upper management wanted, and the building was in the Pearl District, which when they opened in the 80s was not a great part of town.
It was great. The old pizza joint, all rundown pizza place, great pizza.
Greg, you
pitchers
and
of
I
beer.
can head out. I think
Yeah,
these
I
guys,
think they
these
got
guys
it.
got
Yeah, I
it,
think they
man.
got it.
So,
Talk Portland for another hour.
yeah.
I'll never forgive them for closing
Me
that
either.
down.
And
And I missed the ESB. I know the IPA was
That
a
was
big
the
deal.
brewer's
but
favorite.
Yeah. Anyway.
It's coming back around though.
Yeah.
ESBs are cool again.
Well, is Bridgeport coming back around too?
No,
No.
no,
Okay.
just
so.
ESBs. Sorry. We're just back from our holiday break. You guys have a good Thanksgiving?
That was great
Yeah.
for
Sure.
sure.
Wonderful. Just family time.
Family time. Good stuff. Now, have you thought about, I don't know, has anyone done a cranberry like wild
Cranberry Wild Ale?
lambic or anything? Because you guys could just take like canned jellied cranberry sauce and put it right in there. You'd be good, right?
You sure could.
You could.
One of the first
You
beers I
could.
ever brewed was a fruitcake beer.
Yeah.
I mean, a long time ago in the 90s, and it was just basically a fruitcake in a beer. And
Okay.
yeah,
How'd that work out?
worked out really good actually.
it? Okay.
Yeah, it was a crazy beer, and it would fit in with today's culture pretty well, I think. But that was one of the first beers I did, fruitcake beer.
What was the,
The
beer that
first
people
beer
used?
that we brewed was an ESB.
That's
that
right.
was the
yeah.
very first beer I did was
Okay.
an ESB, and then I went
Yeah.
nuts and just went to
Yeah.
went
We
off
took-
the deep end.
We took our beer to a homebrew club meeting. Like we're excited, we're brewing, we made beer,
Yep.
that, and the reviews we got were, well, it tastes like beer. So I'm like, all right, well, that's a start. We'll go from there. We'll
Exactly.
go from there. So
Well, that's when I learned how much a little bit of time can improve a beer, especially when it's a homebrew.
yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
Now on the cranberry talk, I'm going to
Yes.
circle back there for a minute. You guys actually did, what was it called, Brian? Not
Not in a can cran, or is that right? Was a sour ale? Is that yours?
I don't think that's ours.
Are you mixing up news, Brian?
I thought that's on your website, isn't it?
I guess.
Okay,
it
maybe
does-
not. You
Well,
didn't do a
since he
cranberry
is- Since
sour.
he owns it,
No,
I'm
yeah,
going to say no.
I
Or
own it, so I
Goza.
may not
I'm
even
going
know.
to say
Okay.
no.
Yeah.
I guess not. Never
See,
mind.
we had a
then.
whole setup there. All right, guys.
I thought there was
we're
strong
ignoring that
opinions
part.
about cranberry sauce and how it could be presented, prepared, and whatever, but perhaps not.
No.
Perhaps I
Do
was
you
wrong.
have opinions? Are you for your Thanksgiving dinner? Is it jelly or whole berry?
I don't do cranberries and
Don't do-
turkey.
I
I don't.
I do the jelly.
Yeah,
It's
Yeah.
So
That's
I think it's
right.
jelly all around, like the one that's shaped like the can when it
Yes.
comes
Yeah,
out, makes the weird
absolutely.
noise.
like I know that it's trash, but I'm totally okay with that.
Give me a disc. This
slice
is-
me off a disc of that
Disc.
cranberry sauce.
I just
That's
do
right.
stuffing. I can't stop eating stuffing.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Well, I mean, there's nothing wrong with
did.
that.
I just
Yeah.
can't stop.
We did, for the locals, you'll know this, but Fox Brothers, we did the takeout from Fox Brothers this year. Fox Brothers is a very popular barbecue place here in the Atlanta area, and their cornbread dressing was just stellar. It was we'll do
Oh,
that
yeah.
again. That worked out well.
It was quite nice. You know what? The interesting thing I learned about having something prepared like that is there's a tremendous amount of work in just reheating what somebody's
Yeah.
already made. And that in itself is it seemed like it's almost as much work
It was a good amount of work
as
for what we
doing it.
did.
And the logistics of moving material around to get it
Yeah.
to the Thanksgiving.
They do offer
location.
full
Yeah.
catering. Maybe we'll look into
Yeah.
that next year. Just have them come set it up and
little
and
extra
rock
money.
and roll
Yeah.
there. Yeah.
So that was supposed to save us some time. But hey, let's get into the beers of the week.
Beers of the week, Brian. As always, we've got a fantastic list of beers to get into. And we do want to thank our friends at The Nest for sponsoring the segment. Brian, they just announced their next Chefs versus Brewers beer dinner. They team up with Reformation Brewery. Pairings. Nate, they pair a meal made by the chef with a beer made by the brewer, and you get a vote on which is better there. So it's a fun time. January. I have to double check the date, but that's coming around in January. So come to Atlanta. If you're not here already, come to Atlanta, join them up there. So thanks for sponsoring this, The Nest. We've got a few more from the Woodcut Wild series. Here we are drinking the Peche right now. There's also a Kriek and a Framboise, which is beer nerd talk for cherry and raspberry.
Or Belgian talk.
That's the same.
Okay,
I think
yeah.
that's fine. So peach, cherry, raspberry, pretty classic trio for those types of beers.
Yeah,
so we're going to get into those. And if we need some more to drink, Brian, we do have a Dre Fontaine, Armand and Gaston, season 17-18, bottled in 2018. And we also have from Three Taverns. They just celebrate their 9th anniversary, and we have a bourbon barrel-aged barley wine from them. That sounds like we might nightcap with that,
Yeah, it
right?
does,
That
yeah.
sounds like a good place to
It's
go.
a good one.
So, Brian, you got some news for us this week?
I do. So if you have nostalgia for the annual Christmas beers from the brewery, and I do, good news, the brewery is selling box sets of their popular 12 Days of Christmas beers. There are 2 collections to be released. The 12 Days collection, which contains all of them from Partridge in a Pear Tree all the way up to 12 Drummers Drumming. These were bottled in 2019. That will retail for $135. There's a barrel-aged version of the 12 Days, and that's all of those were bottled in 2020. That will retail for $220. Both collections will be very limited and will only be available once every 12 years. So if you don't get it this time around, you look for it again in 2034.
2034.
That's right.
That's a long time to
That's a
wait.
Yes.
long time.
Well, maybe it's worth the wait. You're listening to the Beer Guys Radio Show. We do need to take us a break, but we will be back with Printer's Ale right after this. Boom.
I would just want to point out I'm looking at not in a can
There's
cranberry
so many
goes
beers
on
we've done.
printersale.com.
Oh, it is. Oh,
It's on their
Okay, we've got a
availability on draft.
It's right there.
All right.
Yes. So many.
Did you
beers.
know about this one? Were you just not sharing with Greg?
I did not.
It's
Okay.
the other brewer. It's
Yeah.
Kevin. That's not
Kevin
here.
and Rocky.
Okay.
and
Okay.
A lot
Some-
of that stuff's done on the pilot system. We let the guys just go.
Okay.
Somebody has an opinion about cranberries.
Yeah, that's
and
what
I'm
they're going to
curious
say.
what it
Someone's
is.
got an opinion, but they're not here.
Yeah, they're
right
not here
now,
to
so.
defend their opinion. So it's
All
jelly
right.
cranberries. They
Yeah.
win. They win. It's
Jellied.
they take the
Jellied
night.
wins. Jellied wins.
Yeah, I don't do cranberry sauce. I
Yeah.
Okay.
want to, but I just don't have room for it, and then I just keep eating.
mean,
You
I
start
think-
there
I think
or
with
mix
the-
it in with
The
everything.
leftovers too, like
Yeah.
that cranberry on a roll with that leftover turkey. Oh,
Correct. Yeah.
I sometimes think I should start with the sandwich because I look almost as forward to the leftover sandwich
Oh,
as I
yeah,
do the
for
meal
sure,
itself.
for sure.
Because I do it up, man. I'll get that hearty rustic bread.
Mhm.
It's going to get some ham, some turkey. It's going to get dressing on it. There's going to be some cheese and mayo on there, cranberry sauce, salt, pepper, pickles. I like bread and butter pickles on that one, Brian.
Mhm.
I know those aren't yours,
Yeah.
but with the
Got some comments
with the
chiming in.
cranberry here.
Oh, hey.
Cheers from Keldle Rock Brewing. Cheers, Stephen. Good to see you, man. And we've got Stephen. What is your opinion on cranberry sauce? Is it jellied or is it whole berry? Ant Story has the right answer there.
He's correct.
It's jelly.
It is always jelly.
Are you ready for this jelly?
Nobody's
We
ready
need-
for this.
DJ
jelly.
Jelly should capitalize on that.
He should. Yeah.
at Thanksgiving.
We'll put
Yes.
his likeness on a can.
He's probably the whole berry side.
He probably.
for
Oh,
irony there.
probably.
Yeah.
That would be funny.
But I look forward. I did every time Thanksgiving comes around. I tell myself we should get together like maybe mid-year and do the same thing. Just a big meal. It's such a good time. And last year I did around February. I just got a turkey breast and I just got some stovetop.
Yeah.
But I did like a mini Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
I did get some of the jellied cranberry sauce. I had to go with it there.
Nice.
So
Apparently, Greg still owes Ant Story a
Uh-oh.
ride. Not sure what that
what do you
means.
got
I owe
there,
what now?
Greg?
Yeah.
Anthony Story?
Anthony.
He
Story.
said you
I
still owe him a ride.
He likes my cars. I've got some cars.
Oh, okay.
He's
All right.
he's had access to the garage. There's a little garage on the other side
Okay.
of the brewery wall, and there's some cars in there. And
Tell us about him, Greg.
Oh, yeah.
well, I like fast cars.
All right.
Okay.
I like old cars and fast cars, and so
Okay.
there's a 71 Datsun 240Z back there. That's my
All right.
original car from high school.
Okay.
There's a 69 Triumph TR6 back there.
All right.
There is a Porsche 2008 2S that's been heavily modified for the track. I think that's probably what Anthony's talking about.
okay.
It's a track car.
Very nice.
Yeah, a lot of fun. I just got back from Road Atlanta a couple weeks ago, and
Taking your Porsche out there?
Yeah.
Okay.
yeah.
So
Cool.
you're driving around tracks and
Yeah.
such. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
That sounds like
I've
fun.
got a buddy
It's a
that
blast.
I say a buddy. He was my neighbor. We were friends, still Facebook friends, but I haven't seen him in years. But it's an old 944.
Yep.
But it's basically a race car.
Yeah,
His
yeah,
isn't just modded for use on his is a race car.
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know,
yeah.
and he does. I know he hits Road Atlanta a good
Yep.
bit. So
Yeah, I've done Barber
always-
and Road Atlanta and
Yeah.
Circuit of Americas. Yeah, super fun. It's just.
do you ever get involved with the Z Club here in Georgia,
No,
Atlanta area?
No,
So
I didn't.
my buddy, Kevin and Tammy, you remember them, but they're hardcore. Like
yeah.
he will buy one, totally refurbish it,
Yep.
sell it, buy another. You
Yep.
know that. I mean,
Yep.
he's just Z cars. He's a big Z car.
I've got mine
so.
stripped down. It's my high school car again. It's got a
Yeah.
little rust on it, and so I was gonna fix it up and just do some love on it. And I started taking some parts off, and I realized the rust is a little more extensive than I thought. So I've stripped it entirely down. Going to have it acid dipped and just weld on it and have some fun. So I need that Z Club probably for some advice on some
there's-
parts.
yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I've talked to them before. They're very handy.
Super not like I don't know anything, but I
Yeah.
know these guys
yeah,
are
yeah.
knowledgeable. And I can't remember the name of the fella that my buddy talks about a lot, but he's like, if I ever need like a part I
Yeah.
can't find or I have a question, this guy,
Yeah,
he knows where to go,
Yeah.
what to get, what the
Yeah,
answer is.
exactly.
So
super fun.
that would be convenient because I think most people wouldn't have the first idea, but somebody dedicated to
Mhm.
that entire line of cars.
There's
That's
only like 100 parts on that car anyway. It literally you just take them off,
Yeah.
put them back together, little puzzle. Yeah, it's super fun.
I had a buddy that had a 300Z in high school, gold 300Z back. I guess that would have been to date myself, late 80s.
Yeah, like
somewhere in
89.
there. Yeah, somewhere around there.
I think that's when the 300 came out.
Okay,
Yeah.
gotcha.
I
Yeah.
don't know what the different models are because I'm not much of a car person myself, but I know the fraternity brother in college had a Z of some variety that I think I rode around in once. I'm like, oh, this is nice, and everybody made a big deal about it. It's like, okay, it's a nice car. I don't know what the model was.
240, 260, 280, 300 were the model numbers basically. And then I
Yeah.
think there's a 350, a 340.
So for some reason, the 300 sounds right, but
Yeah.
I'm not
That
100%.
was probably the longest run. They
Yeah.
did the 300 for a long time.
Okay, and it wasn't a I think it was a fairly new car. So if
Yeah.
it's one if they were continuing to make, then it might have been that. But if they discontinued that, then probably not.
Yeah. So Anthony said, "Yep, that Porsche is the one. That's the one.
Yeah,
That's
it's
the one."
It's fun.
And going back to the
More cranberry talk, jelly. My mom makes a cranberry jelly, strawberry, jello, and nuts. That sounds like some Midwest 1970s stuff right there, Steven.
Yeah,
I speak from experience on that. You need to throw either some mayonnaise or Cool Whip and maybe mini marshmallows in there.
probably.
Wow.
And I bet he may have not put it. I would not doubt if there was like whipped cream and mini marshmallows involved.
Or cottage
Did you say
cheese.
mayonnaise too?
Yeah, they'll do like
Cottage
my mom
cheese.
used to do
Cottage
this.
cheese.
Yeah, cottage cheese. I can remember
That
a
sounds
couple
so gross.
a couple of desserts my mom used to do way back in the day would be a half of a pear
Yep.
with cottage
Yep.
cheese in
I
it.
had
And like
that.
that was a dessert.
was a
or
dessert.
pineapple ring, a dollop of mayonnaise, and a sprinkle of cheddar. Boom, dessert.
That is bizarre.
It is bizarre,
That
man.
is so weird.
But they were making jello salads back then, man. They would put
Yeah.
that does look like it would fit in the
With
pages
ham.
of a cookbook that has the weird yellowing
Yeah.
and oranging of the
For sure.
pages. Everything
Yeah.
looks like it's off tinted or like
For sure.
has
Yeah.
been put too close to a fireplace for a while. Yeah.
see.
Yes,
There
ma'am.
we go.
Ah,
Southern Tier area. Huh? Okay. All right.
mayo. Whoa.
Yeah, I knew it sounded like it had to be in there.
Honestly, all applications of mayo outside of sandwiches always seem weird to me, but I've had a few. I'm like, okay, this works. This is
Yeah.
fine. But like, if I don't see it on a sandwich, I'm like, why is mayo involved in this? But
I saw a post on Reddit a couple days ago. It's like, this is peanut butter salad, and my dad insists we have it every Thanksgiving. And this is the recipe for peanut butter salad.
peanut butter salad.
It was a can of fruit cocktail and a jar of crunchy peanut butter. And then he showed a picture of this bowl, and he said, "This is the recipe for peanut butter salad. My dad insists we have it. I promise I'm not lying. It's disgusting. Was like the title. Of the post.
I believe you. I believe
no
you.
argument.
But he's like, Dad insists that we have it every holiday.
So the one thing that surprised me, and then I was like, oh, I think I'm down with that. I don't know if I probably have had it before and didn't realize it, but mashed potatoes with mayonnaise in them. Apparently,
Oh,
that's a
absolutely.
thing to
yeah,
make it better.
absolutely.
And I'm like, well, that makes sense. It's oil and eggs together. I'm like, okay, I get it. That makes sense.
That's one.
Yeah.
Like it's when you hear it, it sounds weird, but I make mashed potatoes. It always gets like a heavy tablespoon.
My dad
of
used to
mayo.
put mayo on toast, and I thought that was the grossest thing when I was a kid. Now I kind of get it. I don't do it, but I kind of get it.
Yeah.
Because again, it's eggs and oil, so it's like eggs on toast makes sense.
You know what's good is mayo with French fries.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Little
I'm not,
Belgian frite thing there,
Yeah,
right?
it's
Little
good.
Belgian frite.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm not
I'm with
hugely
you.
Yeah.
You
a
know,
fan of
for
that, but-
Brian to be a fan of it, just put some garlic in there, call it aioli.
Okay.
And
All right.
he's- and
Okay.
he's
Yeah.
like-
all
he's
right. Oh, I'm on
Yeah,
board now.
see,
That's fine. That's fine. That's fine. Now we're
All
good.
right.
You
Now we're
actually
good.
had some black garlic aioli, I think, just this past weekend with the dish when we went over to Goodword.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. Is that mayonnaise? No, it's aioli. Oh, okay, that's fine.
That's fine.
I don't like mayo.
Well, no,
don't
I
like
know.
mayo,
I
but-
kind of know that they're screwing around with that, but I like garlic so much. I'm like, yeah, whatever.
You're
Yeah.
right.
Whatever
That's
comes with
fine.
it, it comes
That's
with it. That's
fine.
fine.
That'll work. All right.
Do they have desserts with garlic? Because
French fries and gravy. I'm down with that. Throw some
for
cheese
sure.
curds on there.
Yeah, yeah. Poutine, I'm down with.
We're
Yeah,
all
poutine
good.
is
Yeah.
that's genius.
I saw something today that there's a joint in Atlanta that does lasagna fries. And so I guess it's like
Oh.
poutine, but with like meat sauce and all that on top of your fries.
Where were we at that they had something called poutine that wasn't actually poutine?
Oh, that's right. It was
Like it's something,
that
but
barbecue place that really bothered my soul. They gave me see
I shouldn't have brought it up.
the burnt ends.
That's right.
The burnt ends.
The burnt ends that weren't really burnt ends.
They were seriously
That's
four
right.
pieces. That looked like they had been baked in an oven. There was nothing burnt to them at all. It was
not
it
even
was
close.
terrible.
He was inconsolable for like 3 days. Anytime that he
I
just
was
bring it up
offended.
randomly. Yeah.
I was offended that a barbecue place would serve me those and call them burnt ends.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm like, they should be locked up. Their pit should be like some barbecue judge should
Yeah.
come over there and like lock their pit down like a house arrest bracelet for a barbecue pit where you can't be used until you got to go to prison, to barbecue prison.
You got to go through a school
training camp.
re-education.
Yeah, absolutely. It's only fair, Nate.
I'd completely forgotten about it, but
Yeah.
Tim will be irate for a week now.
No, I'm over it. Not really.
Yeah.
All right. Let's get back to beer talk, Nate.
Oh yeah,
Sure.
we should open.
Let's
up
go to the
another
next
beer.
one.
Kriek or Framboise?
A little Framboise.
Yes,
And then we'll get to
that's my
Kriek.
favorite state. City and state. Framboise.
Framboise, Idaho.
That's where I pretty much grew up.
Okay, in Framboise.
Framboise.
Then over to
That's a tart
Portland.
place.
Portland.
Yeah.
It's a wonderful place. Boise State.
I had heard I went through Boise many years ago before I think I'd heard it was kind of an up and coming place. Like it was really developing a nightlife, but that all happened like a year or two after I went through there for business. So I'm like, well, now it's a happening place. I was through there
No, it's
for
hip
like a
and cool,
weekend
huh?
on business and there wasn't anything to do. So
Yeah, when I was growing up there, it was cornfields.
Thank you, sir.
But now it's very trendy.
Yeah, I grew up in Nebraska and it was corn, like right across the street from my house when I moved in there was cornfields. They ended up developing it out, but I was literally
have we
in
had
the
a
middle of a
brewery on
cornfield.
from Idaho yet? I'm trying to think if we have.
I don't know.
What was the one that had Field of Dreams? Was that
The Field of Dreams. No,
That's
that was
Iowa?
that's an Iowa thing.
Iowa?
Yeah,
I think
that's
so.
not Idaho.
Davenport,
Different
Iowa?
state.
Is that right? That
Yeah,
sounds
probably. It's yes. They both begin with I, but they're completely different places. I assure you.
right. Iowa, Idaho, Illinois.
I understand that they both sound like they're made up places, but they are real places and they're different.
The Framboise in this is nice.
Yeah, thanks.
Very pronounced. Very nice. All right, Nate, let's do this.
Restart that.
Follow the Beer Guys on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
What in tarnation?
Now, back to the Beer Guys radio show.
Welcome back to the Beer Guys Radio Show. Remember, all episodes are available on demand. So if you missed the broadcast, get the podcast. Beer Guys Radio is available on the Podcast Park and all popular and unpopular podcasting apps. Now let's get back to Printers Ale Manufacturing Company.
Printers Ale Manufacturing. We have opened another beer here, and it is a Framboise.
That's right. And you're looking at the wrong
Framboise.
bottle.
I am looking at the, but I noticed the animals on your labels, they don't look well.
Yeah,
They
no,
could use a
don't.
sandwich or something. So
Yeah.
we've got skeletal representations of what type of bird is that on the Peche? Nondescript?
Yeah, pelican.
A bird.
Yeah,
Okay,
bird.
so we
I
have
think
a
it's just
pelican
bird. I
skeleton.
think it's a bird.
And is that a primate? Is that a monkey?
It's a monkey.
On there.
Yep.
So
I like
all
the-
right, they're
I like
cool.
the-
I like the
Snake.
labels.
Snake on Kriek.
I like the whole, I guess that's kind of a block print type of
Yeah,
concept.
yeah.
I very much like that style
Yep.
of printing.
Yep.
And
Yeah.
I
Now, Greg, we should mention to tie in here, your business, your primary, or
Yeah.
I don't know,
Yeah, yeah.
primary would be the right word. You're a large printer,
I'm a
correct?
large printer. Yes.
And your printing company is right there next to your brewery, right?
Yeah,
You guys printed our posters for us.
Yeah,
that's
a
right.
couple
Yeah,
years
that's right.
ago.
We did
so
do
we
that.
did a we did a
did do that.
charity raffle
Yeah.
with Atlanta, where he designed a poster for us of kind of the overview of the Atlanta craft beer scene. He hit a couple little Easter eggs in there for people, and we raised money for the Giving Kitchen.
Oh, yeah.
And so you guys helped us out with getting some prints done. We sold those off. We auctioned the original, and raised money for a
Yeah,
good cause
awesome.
there. So
Awesome.
yeah, good
Yeah,
stuff.
I remember
But-
that.
So the art, the packaging, all that, I'm sure is very important to you.
Yes,
on your
for sure.
beers.
It's all, we try to have a printing aspect on everything we do. Our the core beers, everyday cyan, magenta, yellow, black. Everything's kind of revolves around the printing side of things. So our barley wine, we've got a barrel aged barley wine that's coming out now. It's called Blanket Smasher, and things happen on printing presses. You smash a blanket, and it damages a press, and then you have to fix it. And
All right.
I think if you have barley wine, you could definitely do damage to a press.
You can smash a
You
blanket,
could
right?
smash a
So,
blanket.
yeah.
So
I will say this. I forget the name of it, but a few years ago, I think it was your first barrel aged release, a barrel aged stout.
Artifact.
And Artifact.
Yep.
That's right.
Yep.
We went over and visited, and I had to take the bottle that I was gifted and wrap it in a t-shirt to smuggle it out, because I was told others may riot if they saw that I got a
You
bottle.
got a
So
bottle,
it
yeah.
sold out quickly. It was
Yeah.
delicious beer.
Yeah.
We had to smuggle it out of there, Brian.
yeah, we did.
Yeah, Artifact's coming back as well. It's all those big barrel aged beers are coming right now.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
Awesome. I love them all.
Yep.
So Josh, tell us a little bit about how you approach, like, are these spontaneous, wild, blended? Tell us your process here.
Sure. Yeah, I'm a very traditional guy in the representation. You see on the bottle, it says on the bottom, method traditional. And that's really a term that has kind of popped up the last handful of years, because trying to push away from lambic, saying lambic too much in reference to the product, because lambic is kind of similar like champagne. You're not really supposed to call it lambic outside the region. I think of lambic production a little bit more as a process, but it's more of a soapbox speech. I think that
I think some of those Belgian brewers would agree with you, though, that it's a process.
it's a process.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so, I mean, really, when me and Greg started talking about, we both love mixed culture. We both love the Belgian beer styles. These things that take an absurd amount of time. We are a little bit of a glutton for punishment.
Yep.
And so we said, let's do it. And we have this huge back room that allows us to have about 40 barrels in rotation right now. For the process, I take a lot of inspiration from lambic production. So we're doing a turbid mash, which is this very milky mash it's similar to decoction, in that we're trying to create a very low nutrition, high starch product that allows for an elongated fermentation. You need that elongated fermentation because the beer we're drinking right now is over 2 years old. The next vintage that will be coming out will be about 1.5 years old, and that will start getting packaged here in about 2 months. And so you need that long fermentation time. Besides the turbid mash, I mean, we're using 30 to 40% of unmalted wheat. Again, this is all traditional lambic inspired processing. And it's outside of that turbid mash, we then run it into a coolship. We have our own coolship that we have in this back room. We have these
louvers.
We have these louvers that open
Okay.
up.
Yep.
Okay.
We put a mesh top over it to help with the coordination of it. What we do right now is we use a blend from Yeast Labs at a Hood River, Oregon, that has 3 strains of Brett, 1 strain of PDO, 1 strain of Lacto, 1 strain of Saccharomyces right now, as well as that coolship. So it's a little bit of a spontaneous, a little bit not. And we're working with Kennesaw State Bioinnovation Lab right now on figuring out what our microflora is in the area, because we have some spontaneous products in barrel right now. We have one, it's a Flanders Red that was completely spontaneous. But right now it's really about figuring out how we can use the microflora in our environment to create these products as traditionally as possible. So we're cheating a little bit on this in that we're using a yeast blend of labs that mimics the Seine Valley in Brussels. And then it goes into barrel on this fruit. We like it depends on what fruit is looking good that year, right? So a couple years ago, we could get just about anything. Last year, the raspberry crop was all burnt up and you couldn't get it. So this next vintage that will be coming out has some plum,
It's pretty nice,
and some blackberry, which is also very nice. So a little bit of different fruit presentation. But then again, we use house-aged hops. We have our own hop field on site. We harvest those hops. We house dry them. And then aged hops, again, it's a microbial thing. So we don't want the flavor. We don't want the bitterness, but we need that microbial support in that long aging process. So we're using house-aged hops. We call them estate hops because it sounds really sexy.
That does sound nice.
It
Yeah,
sounds
that's a good one.
fancy. Yeah.
So we try and stay really, again, I kind of just kick back to that lambic inspired kind of a phase, but we have our own coolship. We're using turbid mash. We're using malts from Georgia that are unmalted grains to help create this really kind of terroir focused product here in Georgia.
Yeah,
Now
now we're as
we're
old school as possible. Like, just keep it authentic as we can.
Absolutely. And these are very nice, you know, and the raspberry in this presents very well. You know, sometimes you get it where the sourness, it kind of braces and wipes it out there.
Yep.
But there's a nice balance here between the raspberry, you know, and
A good softness
It's
to it.
softness,
There's definitely some sourness. There's a nice fruit presence, but you know, a little bit of funk. It's pretty well balanced.
Well, see, that balance is, I'm glad you guys are saying that. That's what I really love about what Josh is doing and what we're doing out there is balance. Because some of those spontaneously fermented stuff, the wild beers I get, they like melt my teeth in there.
Oh, yes.
They're so powerful. And there's no balance.
There's
And so-
some that Cascade, I love them, but those guys, they'll knock
aggressive.
they'll knock your head around.
Yeah.
And as it gets older, it gets even more
It loses
aggressive.
the fruit. It's
Yeah,
just-
like
yeah.
it's very intense. You mentioned that you have a Flanders that was completely spontaneous. Have you sampled that to see which direction it's going? Is it exhibiting interesting or unusual character just based on the local bugs?
We continually taste that one, and we like it.
Yeah.
It's quite good. But
It's
what's interesting is the length of time that one is taking, and it's taking longer. And part of that is because of your inoculation rates. So and maybe the imbalance of the lacto to the PDO to the sac strains. All of those different microbes are going to work at different rates. And that's kind of why we're working with Kennesaw State's Innovation Lab right now is what do we got during what types of season, and can we make the best products during December, during January? And we're going to start doing, projects like that.
Because on that note, and we can talk about this a little more as we get in the next segment, but we're getting to the time of year that's better for
Absolutely.
capturing those type of bacteria and yeast, correct?
Yes,
The cooler months, that the ones you want are more prevalent in the atmosphere, correct?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, this is where lambic production really kicks back more to almost like wine production. It's you can only produce during a certain amount of year. The rest of the time is bottling and blending.
Yeah.
And
Brew it while you
production-
can. Yeah. Get it
Production
going.
happens for us 3 months of the year, and that's it.
Gotcha. Good stuff. You're listening to the Beer Guys Radio Show. We do need to take a break, but we'll be right back with more from Printer's Ale. No.
So you'd mentioned more of a process we had on our panel discussion show recently, where there was I think the gist of the story was almost everything we know about lambic history is probably bogus. That the actual historical document makes it the Seine Valley less likely
The
that
Qatar land.
yeah, it's less likely that it actually it came from the Seine Valley, and more likely that it came in Brussels in the city of Brussels itself,
and then
it was later
Brussels.
adapted by, because the earliest references are in Brussels itself. So,
but of course, the counter argument to that is the folks out in the Peche After land in that they just didn't document as much as the official folks brewing in Brussels. But these were farmhouse beers. These were guys they were brewing to drink, not to.
Correct, but the counterpoint is they wouldn't have been doing it for so long with no mention whatsoever. Eventually, there would have been a mention.
I kind of like that. There's still a little mystery around it. It's like,
but it sounds like a lot of it's more marketing than it is necessarily kind of a regional thing that people made it out to be. And they said it might have been inspired by the work being done by brewers in the UK of all things.
Oh, that's
the whole
right.
concept of it. Yeah, like they may have figured out some of this process from beer that was being brewed up there to last longer, which may or may not have any real reality to it. But
they used to put the goozies in the barrels and shit when they shipped them to India.
That's right.
They put them in there so that the crumpets would not contaminate them as they shipped them to the East India Trading Company. That's how goozies got started.
He's definitely lying.
Yeah, there's a lot of interesting stuff with it. I mean, you even think about it from a economic standpoint is, this turbid mash, which is so important to the brewers. It's like you look back at it and it was based on taxes. It's like the smaller the mash tun you had, they charged you taxes based on your mash tun size, not on how much you brewed. So they had to do this turbid mash because they had to cram as much grains in there, and they had to push some of the liquid off continually. And it was, it's like, now they're like, well, that's part of it. You're like, well, I guess. But I mean,
so they did it on the mash tun size?
It was based on mash tun size, what your taxes
so basically
were.
So that would explain like party guile brewing then, right? Like you do your second runnings or whatever and get more beer. That's party guile, right? Am I thinking of the right thing?
I think it's party guile. You
do a first runnings,
huge, like a larger than normal kind of initial.
The big brewer in England, I remember that like from 3 different mashes, they do like 12 different beers or something. Do you know who I'm talking about? What I'm talking about?
Yeah, maybe Samuel Smith's. Is it Samuel Smith's?
I don't know. I don't want to say because I would be wrong.
Yeah,
but,
I've heard of this.
Yeah.
Like
so that could explain that
ones.
is, if they're looking at mash tun size, they're like, well, let's make the most of this.
That's
then.
interesting. Where
let's get a small beer out of this.
Say bad beer laws creates good innovation, it result in good results, like through just complete people basically bucking the system. So
1 gallon mash tun and run it like 10 times.
That's right.
That's how non-alcoholic beer got started. That was the last runnings off of that. So.
Exactly. Are you sure this isn't water? Oh, dude,
No,
it's definitely beer.
It's beer.
It's beer.
Absolutely.
It absolutely is.
Starting gravity 1.001.
That's right. Is that starting or finishing? Yes.
Yes, indeed.
Oh, yes. Kriek time. Kriek. Just trying to think. It occurred to me, and I think I'd seen back in the day when I haven't bought any Wicked Weed in a long time, but I think I did a strawberry wild ale, and I'd like to see a strawberry wild ale done again.
I like grape. Not a lot of people like white grape.
Yeah.
White grape is nice with
we're actually going to work with some white grape.
Okay, yeah, I dig it. The couple that I've tried, and Wicked Weed was one that was really, really nice.
I just did a muscadine.
Okay.
So I did a little farmhouse beer.
Okay.
And I barrel fermented it, had 2 batches. Was just losing hope in it. Really nothing was happening. And so I re-fermented on these muscadines on the property. We have a bunch of muscadine vines. And so I went out and picked a bunch of muscadines. And of crushed them up and put them in, and that beer actually is awesome now.
Nice.
Yeah, and I usually don't like muscadine.
But it worked in that,
It
huh?
worked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys have been down to Asheville. There's a brewery called Zillicoa.
I
Brian-
have.
Yes. Brian's been, I haven't, but I'm familiar. with.
And he's doing some of that, and it's delicious.
Yeah.
It's fabulous. Yeah, I think it's a great product that it works well with the tannins on the barrels. It's soft enough with its esters that it's not really going to overpower anything. It's really good exemplary fruit, I think, and we're going to try some goofing off with some of that stuff.
Like to goof off.
Yeah. Have a good time with it.
Yes.
I like what Silico's doing. Man, I really wish we could have gotten them on the air too. They had some great saisons. So I brought back
Yeah.
a few
Yeah,
of those.
Zillicoa is stellar
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah, it's good stuff. They were brewing. See, they were doing the initial mashing and then bringing everything. I think they were mashing off site and bringing it over, or were they doing the entire brew? I think they were doing the entire brew and they were just fermenting on site. So they were driving tanks across town that they had basically brewed at other facilities around town. They may have changed this by now, but they didn't have it in. They really didn't even have a brew house there. I think when
Yeah.
I was there, that's kind of an interesting
Awesome,
concept. But they were
crazy.
doing awesome stuff. So
Yeah, no doubt. I think he was an old green man.
Oh,
Are
might
they in
have
the old
been.
Green Man location? Because they built the mansion, don't they call it? The Green Man? The Green Mansion?
The Green Mansion. Sounds like it. It sounds like that could be a thing.
Steven, we're TBD on Strong Beer Fest. So yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, we've been
Please,
asked
we
by
can-
a couple of people if we're
Yeah.
going there. I don't know.
Are you guys attending
Yeah.
or serving?
Serving.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got a barrel aged triple we'll be doing there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Strong Beer Fest, Wrecking Bar Brew Pub, Atlanta. That's a good one.
It's
To get your strong
December
beers.
5th, I think. Is that?
I think
That's
it's this
third?
Saturday, the third.
Third.
third, fifth. Heck, I think that's when. Well,
Monday's the 5th. This weekend is busy, like all through
Yeah.
Saturday, Sunday.
I was going to say that's when
Monday.
this show will air, but the live stream is right now, so we can talk about
It's
the 5th
totally
and
right
the
now.
3rd. So yeah, so absolutely
Totally
the
right
live part
now.
of it is right now.
Yep.
All this, also the streaming.
Through the magic of recording and editing,
That's right.
this show is actually happening on Saturday.
Yeah, you're
Cool.
seeing it before it happens.
Yes. Right. Congratulations. All right, Nate, let's
we at
do
three?
it. Let's do it.
We're
Three,
at
going
three.
into
Okay.
3.
Follow the Beer Guys on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
Cannonball coming.
Now, back to the Beer Guys radio show.
Welcome back to the Beer Guys Radio Show. I want to give a quick shout out to one of our great radio affiliates, KBDB HD3 96.7 FM in Forks, Washington. Catch Beer Guys Radio on KBDB every Saturday at 2 p.m. Now let's get back to Printers Ale Manufacturing Company.
Guys, I'm going to jump topics on us because this is hot topic. We want to be hot and now and important with what's going on. Are you guys soccer fans?
Yeah.
All right.
I'm
You
not
following
a huge fan,
all the
but I am
World Cup-y
following,
stuff?
Yes,
All right.
yes, yes.
How about you, Josh?
Ish.
Ish?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. I've got a lot of people I work with at the day job,
Yeah.
as I say,
Yeah.
are big fans. So we'll
Yeah.
be in meetings and you'll hear ooh or
Yeah.
something, over the meeting. They've got it on, they got it on the side there
Yeah.
watching it.
My
but
favorite is the no context tweeting of the thing, and I'm like, what are they talking about?
What
oh,
are they thinking?
Oh, I guess they're I was like,
Yeah.
like what are you talking about? This
Something
is going
like
out
that.
over to people who aren't watching this right now. So
Brian and I have a buddy. We won't call him out, but Brian knows who I'm talking about. He does that with college football. a
Yeah,
lot,
yeah.
Where it's just
Yeah.
these guys are blind, or something. It's like,
okay,
all right.
I
Yeah.
love
Okay
the World Cup. I love a tournament. So
Okay.
like
Yeah.
March Madness. I don't watch
Yeah.
college basketball up until March Madness, and then I
Yeah.
start paying attention. I live my life, do other things, and then March Madness, I just start really paying attention. And World Cup, it's fun, gets people into it. And there's a tournament, there's elimination.
I like to start paying attention right when they're good. It's good opportunity for trash talking, like World Series.
Okay.
I get involved when I know Atlanta's going to go, just so I can
Right,
trash talk with
right,
my buddies
right.
in the other areas there.
Yeah.
And that's so once Atlanta was eliminated this year, one of my buddies is like, "Hey man, did you see?" I'm like, "Nah." I was like, "I just totally quit paying attention once Atlanta's out.
Yeah.
I no longer care."
Yeah.
So,
Yep.
But big news, beer related with the World Cup. You know, Brian, I think one of your news stories you saw today, AB InBev. For those, I think everybody probably knows, but like just days before the event, Qatar is like, nope, you can't sell beer.
Yeah,
and they're like the primary sponsor.
Yeah, they were the exclusive beer sponsor for this year and potentially for FIFA in was it 2026? I don't have my notes in front of me, but yeah, they were going to use. They spent 40 billion something 40 million, not billion, excuse me, something to that effect. On they were going to spotlight Budweiser for everybody across the world. They had a warehouse full of Budweiser. That was going to be the exclusive beer for sale there. And then 2 days before, Qatar's like, no, you can't sell.
No
the crazy thing is Qatar doesn't ban alcohol. They just control where it can be. So there's nothing really. It's just purely at their discretion.
The fan camps or whatever.
Yeah,
the VA, you could still get beer.
They were selling it like in a spot or something.
Yeah, like different places you get it. And I think you said
the VIP
the
lounge.
Bud Zero is still available in the States.
So they're selling their Bud non-alcoholic. That's the only thing they can sell there. And honestly, I've had their non-alcoholic, and if you like Bud, it's actually a pretty good. It's a pretty good non-alcoholic beer. But so they've got a warehouse full of beers that they can't sell, and what's going to happen is whatever country wins the thing, all that beer is going to them, and they're going to have some sort of epic ultimate winners party for the country, and they're working on the details now because honestly they didn't plan on doing this, so they haven't worked out the logistics.
Lawsuit.
For sure.
Well, they're already talking. They're negotiating hard with FIFA for the next time around. Say, hey, we want a deduction next year because of what you've done to us this year of some number of millions of dollars, like 40, 50 million. So
is they putting this on FIFA or Qatar, or both? Well, the whole shebang.
Here's the thing that the whole Qatar FIFA thing, that's out of their control. Yeah. What they know is they paid X amount to have their beer put there, and the organization did not allow them to do it.
They're dealing with FIFA, not
exactly.
Qatar. Is basically what
Budweiser, like that's. I think that's between.
How much
FIFA.
You want to bet there was like one guy behind the scenes that was dealing with Qatar, and Qatar was going, "We're not going to serve. You can't serve the beer," and he was going, "Well,
just don't say anything."
And Qatar was going, "You're not going to serve the beer." And no. And Budweiser was going, "Are we going to serve beer?" I'll smooth this over. It's good. It's good. Don't worry about it. And then that happens.
I've heard a lot of people saying
found out at the last minute.
I've heard a lot of people saying they think it was a bait and switch. A lot of people are like a few people I've heard say Qatar never planned on it. They talk good game like they were going to allow it, and they always planned on last minute when nobody could pull out. Just say, oh no, we can't do that.
Pseudo related, Brian, you were in Malaysia one year and went to a beer festival.
Correct.
And like 2 years later, I know
it's like the next year.
I don't think Muslim extremist is the right word, but it was the
on
the government there, right?
It was on they had pressure on the more fundamentalist side of the Muslim that party that's very strongly religious put a lot of pressure on the government, and the government said that beer festival you did last year, you can't do it again. It was pretty cool because I was at it. I just happened to be there on vacation, saw that was happening. So I was drinking beer from Australia, from Vietnam, all these great places. And then the very next year, they pulled the plug on it and said, no, you can't do it.
And if I remember correct, the story was basically, if you guys have this festival, there could be trouble.
Yeah,
was essentially what they had said, right?
I think so. Now it's been a little while. That's going back 2017, I guess would have been the year. I think I was there in 16. So that was cool. I really enjoyed that. And it was a shame for them because there's a great beer bar that was organizing it. And they did a fantastic job of bringing beer from all over the world. I think they even had Pliny the Elder bottles on there in Malaysia opened, like on their trophy case of open beers. But yeah, they had all kinds of fun stuff. And I'm like, man, this is a great place. I wish this had been here years ago when I was working here. But
so maybe when we fight for self-distro or higher ABVs or Sunday sales or all that, no, it still stinks, but could be worse. That's what you got to keep telling yourself, right?
Yeah. Correct. You know what you mentioned before, and I didn't get to ask it, the things that you're growing on site. You're growing hops on site?
Growing hops.
What kind of hops?
Typical Cascade, Centennial, Crystal, Comet, Columbia, or Columbus.
Wow, more than a few, like all for aging, or are you using this in your beer?
How much do you have? How big is your hop garden?
So I've got 60 plants.
Okay.
Yeah,
All
and
right.
it's crazy. They branch off and go off and do their. So it started with 60 vines, and they've become more. Yeah, I got a trellis built. It's really pretty. It's nice.
How are they doing over there?
They do good. They don't do
Okay.
great. They do
Yeah.
great. They do good though. So certain varieties do better. Crystal does great, and Cascade does really good. Centennial struggles.
That's
That's the one we tried to grow,
yeah.
right?
I tried to
Centennial?
grow hops, and I didn't know at the time that Centennial do so
It
poorly in
doesn't,
Georgia,
yeah.
and of course that's the one I chose.
That was
to go.
during the era where Centennial was the hot hop.
Yeah.
Like All Day IPA was Centennial, and a
yeah.
bunch of other things that were out there were Centennial. Like everybody wanted that, and it grows horribly.
Yeah. The growing season's super short. So I'm harvesting these things like in June or even earlier May. I don't know. It's early. They start to brown out and the heat gets them. But they grow real fast. They grow up about 20, 25 feet, and then I pick them. We harvest them, and then we dry them. We just age them.
So it's all for aging, all
Yeah.
for like the.
I've tried to make a fresh hop beer, but it really it didn't.
just
Didn't-
not the quality you
work
need
out.
It didn't
to
work
get
out.
that.
Are
All
you
right.
growing other things? Because I think you mentioned something else that you were growing on site. You get like fruit trees.
Yeah, we're
or
doing
some
some
other
fruit
stuff?
trees for the spontaneous program with a bunch of fruit back in the back, and again the muscadine vines are everywhere out there.
The vines.
It's
yeah.
a full compound that you
Yeah,
got over
it's
there,
15
man.
acres. You don't even know you're in an
Yeah.
industrial park really when you're out there. So it's nice. It's to have a lot of land and be able to do something with it. And yeah, it's good.
Beer and printing and hops and fruit trees and race cars and so
Any grains? Are you? Any,
No
okay,
grains.
no malting of grains
no
happening
malting
over
of
there.
grains yet.
that's next year.
Yeah.
I
The
used
mall
to
house
add,
is
add
next year.
another a wing to the compound for
Exactly,
the malting
exactly.
portion of it.
Yep.
Yeah. Now, on that note, talking about grains, do you guys try and? I know that we've got like Riverbend,
Yeah, yeah.
up in Asheville.
Yeah.
Do you use local or regional
There's
grain?
a-
Josh, that's probably a question for you.
Yeah.
What kind of?
Yes, we do. We've used grains from Carolina malt, Riverbend, Georgia malt.
Georgia malt. Yeah.
So yeah, we like to use local. And for the mixed culture products, again, to build a little bit of that terroir, we use mostly local grains.
Terroir.
Yeah.
Years ago, we're Beer Guys Radio is coming up on our 7th anniversary next year. And when we first started, I used to ask brewers about terroir, and it really, in the brewing world, people didn't seem to care about that as much then. I'm hearing more of it now, like you'll see Michigan grown hops, or something like that. Hey, this hop in Michigan and this hop in Portland, in Oregon, Washington is different. How important is it to brewing?
It's important. But
It depends on
also-
the style, right?
It depends on the style. It depends on a handful of facets. But if you can work it into the program and you can trust your vendors and your growers, I think you should try it.
Yeah, for the farmhouse
shot,
program that
yeah.
we're really trying to build out there, that's where local is huge. And if we can use local hops and what we're growing on our property, that's what we want to do.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
Drink local. You're listening to the Beer Guys Radio Show. We're going to take us a break, but we will be right back with more from Printer's Ale.
Alrighty.
Bum, bum, bum. Did you guys know Georgia Malt closed?
Have they?
Yeah. Yes, I wish. Let me find the email. So someone said they went to their website and it wasn't working.
Yeah.
So I emailed him because we tried to email. He's like, yeah. He's like, just timing and some
Yeah.
personal things, this and that. He's like, it was just basically. He said he needed like a big brewery to become like a cornerstone.
Yeah.
For and
Yeah.
he's like, we just it just couldn't get it headed where we wanted it to.
Yeah, a
So,
couple of years ago, everyone's trying to grow hops. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, everyone started to try to grow
Sure.
hops.
Yeah.
I was really intrigued by, so Florida had a growing program. I think that Trim Tab was using hydroponically grown hops in Alabama. So there was a lot of stuff there. And I was intrigued by the idea of the hydroponics and like
Mhm.
you make your own terroir. Like you want more sun? Well, just give it more sun.
Yeah.
You want more heat? Give it more heat.
I
You want
really
it to be
dig
drier.
the fruit in all of these, man. The
Yeah.
fruit's really nice in all of them.
Awesome.
Yeah. Again, it
Yeah.
really comes back to balance, and
Yeah.
I think using the right cultures and the right amount of fruit. You don't want a fruit bomb.
No.
You still want to taste the beer.
Yeah.
But then you don't want the beer to be too sour, too astringent.
Mhm.
So
Yeah,
exactly.
balance.
We're
Balance.
going for balance.
Makes
Yeah.
sense. Yeah. It's
No.
I love the dry beer. I love it when it dries out. It keeps getting drier.
Yeah.
My favorite brewery is Jester King. And I
Oh,
just
okay.
love
Good
going
stuff,
there
yeah.
and wandering the property with one of their beers. It's
Uh-huh.
it's just such a great vibe.
So I think they're the ones that kind of got, I don't know if they did it or if they kind of got the ball rolling on the Method Traditional thing.
Yeah.
Because
it was them. It was Allagash.
Okay.
And I think it was a group of like 4 or 5 who essentially went to Belgium and went to Horal, which is Horal.
Yeah.
Their Society of Lambic Brewers. And they were like, what term should we use? And they were like, we don't care.
yeah.
And then they were one of them. They were like, what about Method Traditional? They were like, great, go for it.
Fine. That's fine. Go for it. Because I think
were they really opposed to the goose and lambic use, or was it more us
No,
being
that's
sensitive?
how-
I think it's us being
It
sensitive.
came from sensitivity from the American brewers because they kind of put their
Was it okay.
delegation
All right.
together, and they were like, listen, we don't want to step on your toes. We respect the process and everything, at least from my understanding.
So-
Mine too.
I had heard that Jester King did a beer and they called it either Lambic inspired or Lambic style or something like that. And I'd have to go back and find the story because I believe who's over Jester King? Is it Jeff
Stuffings.
Stuffings. Yeah.
Then he talked to, is it pronounced Jean Vanois?
Yeah.
Cantillon.
Yeah.
And apparently through their conversations, he's like, yeah, Lambic style, Lambic inspired or whatever. But very important is Cantillon is not part of Horal.
Yeah.
So I heard that they got salty when that came out and they said something, but it could have been the American brewers too, because I think
Could have
American
been a bit
brewers,
of both.
yeah, that's what I was going to say. I
mean,
think some of the American brewers probably have just as strong, if not a stronger opinion
Yep.
on, oh, you got to respect the,
But
it-
respect the
was,
style.
it was a lot of the people drinking beer. It was like,
Okay,
I'd
that
like to say lambic or something, but it's kind of like you get people coming out of the woodwork saying you can't do that, blah blah blah, and you're kind of like, I don't want to step on toes.
the keyboard warriors.
Yeah, it's
pecking
like
at you there.
those guys.
those white knights coming out of the woodwork.
me,
Oh, how
sorry.
dare you?
Yeah.
You're appropriating Belgian culture.
Yeah.
Well,
It's just trying
yeah.
to, it's like, and
It's a brewing
I
technique.
appreciate
Yeah.
obviously, a lot of those breweries taking the initiative and saying like, listen, we would still like to make some of these styles and
Yeah.
take a lot of this interpretation, but also we really don't want to get yelled at. So what should we do? And it's like, well, let's change the name. And I mean, I'm totally on board. I'm go for it, because we still
Yeah.
want to make these beers. So
Yeah.
it's like, we'll call them whatever we want, but
Yeah.
we just want to use the processes that we are inspired by.
Well, putting beer in barrel is so cool. It's just
Yeah.
you just
I
don't know what
agree.
you're going to get.
Yeah.
And that's my favorite part of it is each barrel is unique and you have no idea until you start tasting them. Oh, we made some of the best malt vinegar you'll ever have. It's terrible beer, but it's a
Yeah.
great malt vinegar.
We put a chocolate stout in a barrel and somehow made diesel fuel. So
Right.
yeah.
That's-
Yeah.
What is it like? Life is like a barrel of lambic. You never know
Right,
what
you
you're
just
gonna
never
get.
know what you're going to get.
That's so true.
Yes. Yeah.
I mean, and you talk to people like John Vanois or Boone or Hanson's or some of these guys that are making it, and it's it's like blending is just as much as brewing.
Yeah.
Right.
There's like Hanson's isn't a brewery.
It's all blendery.
It's all-
Yeah,
it's a
they
blender.
they get their liquid from other places,
So
and that's
they're
a
looking-
very traditional thing to do. Is
they're
like
looking-
a lot of people out there are actually that's what their bread and
just
butter
blend.
is.
Yeah, they just buy from these other breweries, and they're like, I just blended after 2 years.
So
But
that's what
it's
we should do, Brian.
impressive.
We should start a blendery.
Yeah,
That would be
brewery-
That
Great.
should be the thing.
And
man.
some
An
whiskey
American
people.
blendery.
There's a lot of people in the whiskey business that
Mhm.
start that at
sure.
least start out that
For
way
sure.
and have done
Let's-
to great effect.
Let's invent a new. Right now, I'm saying this on the air, so we've got ownership of this. A blend of whiskey and lambic as its own beverage, kind of like the
Wispic,
graph or yeah. So
Lamsky.
that sounded
Lamsky.
racist. Both of those sound racist.
Wait, so hold on. How's it racist? Against sheep? Lamsky?
Shut up, Lamsky. Yes, he is.
Yeah.
Well, hold on. If it's got the EY instead of the Y, it's okay? I think. Is that right?
I don't
no,
think so.
It's the other way around. I don't know. I don't remember.
Yeah.
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 With
so
the
that's
whiskey
it. Whiskey
anyway.
and lambic.
Nice.
Didn't Cascade did a sour that Manhattan inspired? Was it?
Yeah, they did. Yeah, yeah.
I think so.
I think a couple of places have done that. Orpheus did something that was
Yeah.
a couple of
But
cocktail.
that wasn't a
related
sour,
ones.
was it?
Oh,
The Orpheus ones?
perhaps no. I don't think they were.
Yeah.
No.
Creature does them.
Yeah.
They do
Yeah.
like zombie and
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
right.
that's true.
Yeah, the cocktail right on that end of
The
things.
cock-
they do.
Basically,
They're
the cocktail
tasty.
versions of Athena,
Yeah.
which
Founders
Berliner.
does them.
What's that?
Founders.
That's right. They do have a couple, don't
We
they?
got a couple of cocktails.
Have you
They're
done
not
any cocktail
sours though.
inspired beers?
Those aren't sour beers, but
No.
Not,
No.
no. All right,
Not
fair
me.
enough. That's fine. Yeah.
hey, you say you're putting stuff in barrels. Maybe we can.
So, guys, we're going into the last segment. Is there anything you want us to make sure we talk about that we have not?
No, I'm having fun.
All right.
good to
So
talk.
that's. I mean, we
Yeah.
just try more. Let folks. Hey, this is Printer's Ale.
Yeah,
Do a
yeah,
little
yeah.
chatter there.
This is what you're up to right now.
Nate, is there anything we haven't covered? You want us to make sure we cover?
Nightcap barley wine.
Nightcap barley wine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, he's
Oh.
wanting to drink.
Well, he wants to drink
it.
it, but we still have.
yeah.
All right, let's.
Well, we
not
still
crack it.
have
Let's
a-
do this.
We still got that giant bottle.
No.
of
Bar. Yeah, that's fine. We can do that. Let's do the dry fontaine. and then-
yeah. I mean,
We'll-
I
we'll
want the
after
other
party
one,
with the
but
barley
I
wine.
really want the Drafonte.
All right.
That was supposed to be
Mix
something
them
we.
together. We just talked
Oh,
about
no.
starting
Yeah,
little
that's a
blending,
really
little
good point.
blending.
The blend the two together.
the cuvee.
Yeah, exactly.
Cuvee.
I don't know if I can blend a barley wine in lambic. I don't know if
You can do it, man.
Oh, I
believe
think
in
you can. I believe in you.
Make a Boilermaker out of it.
We were
Yeah.
doing.
Yeah.
I forget. It may have been last year's Christmas beer tasting, Brian, but I think we had something that was cherry, and then a stout. We play around all the time, and if we got a few bottles open, dump a little bit here, dump a little bit there,
Yeah.
and I don't remember what we did, but it came out just phenomenal. I'm like, this is delicious. Like, I would buy this bottled. So, hey, are you guys familiar with these?
Oh yeah,
No.
yeah.
What is that?
Yeah, that is a
you know what it is.
that is a beer caramelizer.
Beer caramelizer.
Oh,
Yeah.
Stick that in the fire and have you ramrodded
I've
beers?
never done it. I've never done it.
You got your torch with you?
I do. I don't know how much fuel's in it, but we might be able to pull it off.
We're
Fun.
surprised at the difference it makes. Like it's noticeable. It's pretty cool. We enjoy it. And we've got to talk Ironmonger into getting a fire pit outside, or we've got to get a tabletop fireplace.
Yeah, because it's wintertime. I guess we'll be fine with it. Like it'll be 150 degrees in here when we get done, but it'll be worth
Yeah,
it because the
yeah.
beer will be delicious.
Right.
Do some lab work segments and have your little Bunsen burner. At all
That's
times.
right, man. Absolutely. Yeah.
I do have a it was meant to be a cigar torch, but it is effectively a little Bunsen burner, and I have used it at home. It runs through butane very quickly, though, as it turns out. If you're heating that thing up over it for about 2.5
the Alec
minutes,
Bradley.
yeah, it's great for that. And the interesting thing I found, an
Thank you,
old
sir.
Terrapin Wake and Bake oatmeal stout with coffee in it. I opened it up. It was almost 10 years old. I shouldn't have still had it. Very oxidized. I nearly poured it out. I'm like, hold on. I've got a caramelizer at home because I love the concept so much. I bought one for just for me. And so I gave it a good old char, and I'll be damned if it wasn't actually a solid drinkable beer with an acceptable amount of oxidation after the fact. And it went from being completely flat, and Tim will point out it's really just proteins probably, but it had a creamy head on it the rest of the time. And it's the oatmeal character came out so much. I don't know if the coffee was there, but like the oxidation no longer was disgusting paper bag. It was more like this is acceptable with the roastiness of the coffee, the very creaminess of the oatmeal. I'm like, how on earth does a beer this old taste this good after tasting so bad before?
Josh, do
Light it
you
on fire?
Yeah, exactly.
Do you know, and that maybe why I Stan Hieronymus, he knows his science. Maybe he would know if you don't know. So if we've got a beer that's say it's nearly flat, ram it down in there and it gets basically what's equivalent to like a creamy nitro head.
Mhm.
I'm assuming that's not bringing carbonation out of there. Is that a protein like here?
It's most likely got to be caramelizing the dextrins. So
Okay.
essentially the long chain sugars, which protein.
Okay.
So yeah,
All right.
I mean, it'll give you some head.
So
That's what-
you'll
yeah.
get the proteins, you get they'll form bubbles, and because you're
And it's
like
got some
boiling a
stain,
small
it's-
amount of thing, you're separating water, H2O into hydrogen and oxygen. So some of the oxygen you get caught in the head, right? So you'd actually be releasing some oxygen, so it might actually be oxygen that's coming out of it. That would make sense, right? Which would reduce the amount of perceived
We're going way over our
oxidation,
IQ
I
here,
think.
man.
A bomb with
So-
oxygen.
Potentially
Yeah.
depends on
Flammable,
what
yeah.
your dissolved oxygen content is at that point.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's true. And I'm figuring a beer that's been sitting there that's basically flat after 10 years probably there was some access to air getting in and out. So I'm figuring it over time, it had picked up some, but whatever happened, it went from flat to having maybe a third of an inch foamy head on the creamy head on the entire time, like the nitro head the entire time I was drinking. It was like, this is insane.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fun. Beer caramelizer.
Just
Look for them.
Torchy beer.
Go Google beer caramelizer and you'll find it there. It's from is it 1751
1571
1571F is the company.
They sent us one. Actually, Tim asked them to
tell
send
them,
us one.
tell
Say
them
that
Beer
we
Guys Radio sent you.
Yeah, for
Let them
sure.
know that you heard about us running our mouths.
and
What's
he said
that?
we would talk about it, and we have seriously
is not
talked about it
sponsored. This
99%
isn't,
of the
so.
shows. Well, they did
But
send
we
that
did
to us
get a
for
free caramelizer.
I
Yes.
bought
So
one because I liked it
yes.
so much.
Yeah.
But yeah,
yeah,
So
Brian actually
what's-
paid
what's-
for something.
I know,
so.
right? I bought one
What's
willingly.
happening at 1571F?
I think that's the temperature.
Internal temperature of a campfire, I think, is the idea, or
There you
something
go.
like that.
There,
Yeah.
I think Brian looked around. on it a little
Fireplace.
bit.
That was the concept that they said. Like, if you set that in a fire, the internal temperature is right around. They measured some fire, and that's what it was, I guess.
Sounds good.
So
Yeah.
that's the idea.
See, if I only still worked in that foundry, Brian, we'd be good to
right.
go. I could make them for us.
You could
So,
probably just
yeah.
pour it. Hold on,
Yeah.
as soon as it's solid, put it in your beer.
Boom. I just bring a crucible of molten iron over. We just
Just
pour a shot of that in there.
that's right.
It would go fine.
Have you heard of roaring a beer?
No.
That's that's an obscure thing. I think it was Norwegian or possibly German or something like that, where instead of the hot poker, the idea is you get a saucepan super hot, you pour a beer in it, sizzles,
Oh,
you
yeah.
pour it back
Okay,
into your
yeah.
glass immediately, and the idea is that would revive elderly farmhouse ales, bring them back to life. It's I think the same basic concept. So whatever it's doing is probably just caramelizing some the dextrins and
So
things
that was
like
a cool thing. You guys should do this. No one in Georgia is doing still lambics.
Oh yeah,
Oh, I
lambic in
like
a
a still
box.
lambic.
Yeah.
yeah.
So it was that's the Glue Creek, wasn't it?
I think it's the
Yeah.
glue. It probably says that.
Oh, got the Method Traditional logo on there.
There it is.
So
Who's that? Artifact.
Primitive.
Primitive. Yeah, they're the ones that did the hot beer fest.
I need to give them a shout. See
Yeah.
if maybe we can order something from them because I enjoyed that.
Aren't they the blendery?
Are they a blendery?
I don't think so. I don't know.
I think they
don't
actually.
recall.
I think they
I
actually made
brew.
it. Yeah.
I think they brew. But that was a lot of fun. So
I
bag
should
in a
look
box.
online. I think
Yeah,
that
bag in a box.
Yeah, and I forget, but that holds. I believe that is 5 gallons in that box actually. So
Yeah.
that's.
Mm,
I'm
yeah.
Right in
skeptical
that
of
box.
this.
No,
This little
wasn't it
box.
Very skeptical.
1,500. I think it's 1,500 though, which was more
Willfully
than
obtuse. The glue beer blend.
yeah, glue beer.
Yeah, that's cool stuff. Why the box?
Yeah, but I think that's a 1.5, and I didn't realize it from the size of the box that
It's
had
a
that much
5
in it.
gallon. I'm like,
Does it say
I've
on their
seen
name?
five.
Does
I've
it
seen
say
gallon jugs
volume?
of milk. I know that's not right.
I remember the original presentation.
Yeah,
of bag in a
1.5
box.
liters.
Bag in a, oh,
Bag in a box. I'm a box guy, right? I'm a printer.
oh, that's right.
Oh
Okay.
yeah, okay.
Yeah,
All right.
and I remember when someone had the
Process.
idea of bag in a box, and
Oh, this would be perfect for
The
you. That's
marketing.
Oh
it's
yeah,
the
man,
box.
you're halfway
yeah.
there, right?
Yeah, yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Some more of the wood print stuff. It's got to be the block print thing. Got to be
Uh-huh.
that.
Yep.
Yeah.
That'd be fun. So we're gonna come to the release of your still lambic in a box at your hot beer festival. We'll be
I
there.
like it.
Can't
Yeah.
wait.
There, man.
Sounds great.
So like next week.
That's right. We'll bring our
Yeah, we'll get
caramelizers
that
coming
done
there,
super-
Chin.
Super
Yes,
quick.
we're on it. On it.
That's just got to go in a box in
That's
a
it.
bag. It's
Yeah,
nothing.
it's
That
no
should be
problem at all.
done and over with.
Skip the bright tank. You're good.
It's easy.
Directly into the bag.
Word up. All right, guys, let's do seg 4.
Follow the Beer Guys on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Now, back to the Beer Guys radio show.
Shake it back!
Welcome back to the Beer Guys Radio Show. If you enjoy the show, please consider supporting us on Patreon. Just go to patreon.com/beerguys. Patrons get cool perks like Beer Guys swag and commercial-free episodes. Now let's get back to Printers Ale Manufacturing Company.
Greg, Brian teased something a little earlier in the show, and I think we'll bring it up now that you had a little something go viral one time. And do you have an opinion on who the most talented Wahlberg is?
I do. It's Donnie.
Donnie.
Yes,
Donnie.
He's the most talented Wahlberg for
And
sure.
it sounds like something you would almost brew a beer in homage to,
Yes,
correct?
yeah. I did that.
Good
Yes,
stuff, man.
it was.
Good
That was a
stuff.
lot of fun. I couldn't believe that we didn't get sued.
Yes,
And
one,
then-
right?
And then he actually, he was a fan. He drank the beer and enjoyed it.
That's
Posted it on
awesome, man.
social media.
Yeah,
Got a
he
video of
did.
him on Instagram doing it.
This is one that I've got to hear. What prompted this? What was the inspiration?
Well, it's a New England IPA, right?
Okay.
So I take pride in naming things. So I don't know. I used to just love naming my wife's paintings. She's an artist, and I'd name her paintings. I think a name tells the story. It's part of the presentation. The taste. You're looking at something artwork. You see the name, and it describes what it is. So anyway, New England IPA. I wanted to name the beers after famous New Englanders, but I wanted to have a twist. And so we did a Ben Affleck has a big, fat, stupid mouth.
I missed that one.
You
Well, did
you
he
miss
try that one? Did Affleck get to
No,
try
he did
that
not.
one?
I don't think
So,
he heard
yeah.
about that one.
All right.
Matt Damon cries when he's sad.
Yeah.
This
Tom Brady's a system quarterback.
Okay. All
Um,
right. Yeah.
And that was in homage to him just beating the Falcons. And
Yeah.
he's obviously not a system quarterback, but yeah, Donnie actually did. His assistant reached out to us on Instagram and said, hey, do you mind if you send a couple of beers Donnie's way and he'll
Like,
try it? And if he likes it, he'll
absolutely.
put something. I said, wow. Number one, I thought it was hey, you can't do this.
Yeah. Yeah.
But we do it in such a small batch that
Right.
nobody cares. And I think it's in loving honor of those guys. They're,
Except for Affleck.
Yeah.
I saw that and I was looking through the beer list on tap like I usually do, just looking for things to talk about. And I saw that you would discontinue the one and you've got, I think it's what is it? He's a fatter, stupider, fatter mouth.
It was an Imperial IPA.
It was Imperial.
Yeah, so he's a bigger, fatter, stupider mouth.
Good stuff. Man.
yeah.
Good
So
stuff.
in Batman, I just couldn't believe how big his mouth was in that movie when the mask. And,
Yeah.
And he'd talk like, and his mouth was so big. Like Christian Bale's mouth wasn't that big.
I'd never
This is
noticed that.
great.
I'm gonna have to
Yeah,
go
now
watch
I gotta
this
go
again.
look, man.
Some hot Batman talk
Greg's
comparing the
at
Batman.
He's 4 stouts in watching Batman. He's like, that guy got a big mouth.
His mouth is far too large for Batman.
Right.
You know-
No
couldn't
one
see
needs a
anything
mouth
else.
that
I
big.
couldn't see anything else.
You know the whole cartoon thing that I didn't watch a lot of it, but I saw enough of it. Like it was a line. His mouth was a line and big chin or something like that.
Yes.
And I guess Affleck is fuller lips. Maybe I don't know.
Yes,
I
yeah,
never
yeah.
really
Big,
thought
fat,
about it.
Stupid mouth.
Big fat stupid mouth. So he didn't reach out to
He
you
did not reach out. No.
because I'm thinking he
All
might
right.
have taken that some kind of way. So
Yeah, maybe. Maybe. He's got bigger problems, I think.
if you ever see
Yeah,
Affleck and Matt Damon rolling up, I would hide actually.
Right,
He probably heard about it. He's like, dude. He's like,
Yeah.
why? Why?
You
A
too.
brewery where?
Yeah.
Georgia?
You too.
What did I do?
Yeah.
They probably
Man, I'm looking. I got to keep a better eye out for the next in the series.
Yeah.
I gotta
will
see
there be
what's
more
going
of
on.
these?
They'll be back. So Ben Affleck's probably coming back the next one. People have been asking for it, and it was a good beer. So it's probably coming back in February, I think.
Does the I don't recall is the can art or the bottle art, does it have him in the Batman
Yes,
outfit?
yeah, it
Okay.
does.
Okay.
That's
It does.
glorious.
All right,
That's,
yeah.
that's
Yeah.
glorious, man. I love that so much, so much. Josh, what's specialty brewer?
Mhm.
We've got these delicious wild ales here. What's coming up, man? What you brewing?
Well, we've got vintage 3 now going to be brewed once the temperature hits appropriate levels. Most likely December, January, we'll get the cool ship running back up again and do some, or it looks like this year we're going to do a lot more of the Framboise and some more of the Grand Cru, which is just an unblended straight lambic as opposed to kind of some of the others. But yeah, we'll have those, and we also have a couple other projects that we've kind of like to work on. We did Flanders Red last year. That one probably won't come out till mid-year, I would say. And then I'd really like to get an Oud Bruin going. Again, more of these like traditional styles. And then continue to work on this woodcut series, the lambic inspired method traditionals. We'll just do some vintages on those, and we've also got some straight Bretts.
I was going to say we had that single strain,
Nice. Okay.
blackberry
Ooh,
Brett we
yeah.
did. Yeah, it was.
I miss Brett beers. I
think-
bring that up every time
delicious.
somebody mentions it. Yeah. So you've got a lot of stuff going into barrels. Do you have stuff beyond these sours and wild ales? You've got at least Artifact that I'm aware of. Are you doing some other interesting stouts and barley wines and things like
we've
that?
got barley wine. The Blanket Smasher barrel aged barley wine's coming out here in a couple of weeks. The Artifact is coming out in a couple of weeks. It's got 2 variants. Got a pastry version and then just an imperial that'll be out in a week or so. Yeah, I think that's about it for the barrel aged for this year for the big high gravity beers. But farmhouse styles are really, that's what I love. This type of beer we're drinking here, it's just awesome. I just love these beers. And so anything we can do to push that program along and kind of explore is super fun.
Now, the one that I saw mentioned online, and we didn't have it here, there's a Grand Cru. What's the Grand Cru?
That's our baby.
It is.
So that's the base for all of these.
Okay.
And so that's a straight, unblended, unfruited method traditional American wild. So again, that's the presentation is much more Basque cider-esque, wild natural wine kind of presentation. You get these really delicate esters. Everything is just very, very delicate.
Yeah.
And so I really love that beer. Greg really loves that beer. It's just more of like, this is what you were drinking. This is beer 200 years ago.
Yeah, my wife
was
doesn't
this.
even like beer, and she liked that beer.
Yeah.
So
Okay. Yeah.
so we'll do more of that this next one. It's one that I was like, well, this is what I want to drink, but I don't know if anyone else will. So we didn't keep that much. We only did a couple barrels
and sold out.
And so we will do more on this next vintage, this next season. We're going to be doing more Grand Cru, but it is just the unblended, straight, no fruit, just American wild.
Will you be doing some version of it if it's popular enough? Will you be doing some version of it that's like Method Traditional 3, where you blend several years together, kind of
Yes.
goose style?
Absolutely. So the next big phase for us is blending. So vintage 1 is what we're drinking right now. Everything was brewed and barreled at the same time, starting to come out at about the same time. So we're not really able to blend that much. We don't have vintages to blend. Now we have 2 vintages, and we're putting 3 into tank. So now comes the fun part. Now we have blending potential, and we can make an actual goose, which is old, young, lambic, blended together. You don't see many of those produced in the States. It's a pain in the butt to do, but it's the final product is just really, really beautiful. So we'll start blending. Actually, we'll probably start blending in the next handful of months. And that's where it gets really fun. And the products become really unique. They earn their
Esoteric,
vintages. And it's one of those ones where we get to kind of, the buck stops here. We kind of get to determine what that blend is and put our fingerprint really, on the beer itself.
That'll be cool. That's,
Yeah.
you mentioned not many people doing them. So shout out to Jason Pellet at Orpheus. He does have an MT3, that he started his program. How old is he now? 8, 9, 30?
Yeah,
The
something
brewery?
like that. I want to say
8.
that he
Nate
did.
says 8. So, but he started his program pretty
Yeah,
much
for
when he
sure.
opened the doors there.
sure.
Oh
So
yeah,
he got
yeah.
that. But
he got started really early
Yeah, I
on.
love those guys.
I don't know if it's me not being as much in the hype of this, but I think a couple of years ago these were cool with the younger, trendier crowd more. But you mentioned your Grand Cru. You said you did sell out of that,
Oh, yeah.
right?
Yeah,
Sold
yeah,
through
for
it.
sure.
So
Yep.
because we were just kind of chattering, like you don't hear as much about these as you used to. These,
In California, it's big. Like California Wild Ales out there.
I was there a month ago.
Yeah, that guy
so
used
2
to.
months. So.
He used to buy his beer. He didn't have a brew house. He would just buy beer from people and bring it into barrels and blend it.
I didn't. Okay.
Yeah, and now he
Okay.
finally got a brew house. And I was there. I don't know, a couple of years ago, 3 or 4
Yeah.
years ago, and he was just super small operation. And in California, it's big. In Georgia, maybe not, but I love these beers to drink. They go in, they're done, they're dry, they're out. I just love drinking it, and I hope other people do too.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah,
we do.
Yeah.
I
So
think
the good
pitching
thing.
it to, like you said, that your wife was really into the Grand Cru and she's not even a beer fan.
Yep.
I think the mistake a lot of people are doing is not pitching it more to big wine lovers. It's mentioned, but I don't think it's pushed as
Let
much
them
as
know
it could
those
be.
flavors, right?
Yeah,
there is
absolutely.
a beer out there for everyone.
Correct.
Awesome. Guys, thank you so much for joining us. Really appreciate it. Greg, if people want to know what is coming up at Printer's Ale, what's going to be the best way for them to follow along?
Probably Facebook and Instagram. I mean, obviously.
Gotcha.
Yep.
Standard fare, right?
Standard
Facebook and
fare.
Instagram.
Yep,
Check us
yep.
on the socials and watch for Greg's NC-17 TikToks that he puts out there.
Yeah,
Keep an eye
yeah,
out for those.
definitely.
But
State of the art.
yes, thanks again, guys. We really
Thank
appreciate you
That's
joining
awesome.
us.
Thank you.
Well, y'all, that about wraps it up for this episode of the Beer Guys Radio Show. Make sure to come back and join us next week for more craft beer info. Follow us online. We are Beer Guys Radio on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Thanks for tuning in. Have a great week, and don't forget to drink local. Cheers.
All right.
Awesome sauce. Good
Any more
times,
comments
guys.
over there?
Good
Yeah.
times.
Yeah, super
Good stuff. Good beers.
Guys, I'm going to sign off here online. Thanks for tuning in, y'all. Thanks for chatting with us, hanging out. We appreciate it. What?
Show next
What?
week.
Next week, beer. Next
Oh,
week,
we'll
more
probably,
talk.
yeah, the beer and
Come back
stuff
next week, 7 o'clock. That's it. I'm tired. I didn't
Yeah.
get enough sleep last night. So,
Me either.
but y'all, thanks much.
Wait, we got a comment.
Oh, we did? Oh, loved it. Bye.
There we go. The Printers Crew is tuning in here. Bye, Printers Crew.
See you, Brenner.
Cheers, y'all. Have a good one, and we will see you next week.